How's it going, guys? Preston here, Citizen Response. Good in the video coming to you guys today talking about the JTTC comp made by Parker Mountain Machine for the P365 and P365X. Getting right into the video, what is a compensator? If you don't know what a compensator is, essentially it redirects gases because we know that with bullets, gunpowder goes off, boom, the gases are coming out of the barrel. It's going to redirect some of those gases this way with the idea to fight muzzle climb and recoil to make it easier to get follow-up shots. Makes the gun shoot a little bit softer. So they say. That's what I've been testing and what we're talking about here today. So why the Parker Mountain Machine comp specifically? Well, it's advertised to get you about 30 to 40% reduction in recoil compared to the standard P365 or P365X, as well as maintaining the standard recoil spring that the gun comes with, which is huge. So you're not having to mess around with different recoil springs depending on what ammo you're shooting, and you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of different ones and hope it works. They tested it enough to say that they believe that it runs 100% reliably with the stock recoil spring, so that's what I've been testing. In terms of installation and installing the comp, it's a comp and barrel combo. They send you this little device that locks the comp in, and you have to use a table vise to install it. I'm not going to show you that installation process because they already have a video on their channel that shows you better than I could reproduce trying to make it myself. So far, I have got around 2,500, maybe 3,000 rounds through this setup with the compensator. This isn't a stock slide, this is the Norso slide. But I think this would be representative for running with a stock slide as well. In terms of the ammo that I've run during this test with the compensator and the setup, I've mostly run brass case ammo. I don't really buy steel as much as I used to. I've run Magtech 115. I've run Blazer 115, Blazer 124. I've run some Tula and some Wolf a little bit here and there. And then in terms of defensive loads, I've run Federal HST 124, HST 124 plus P, Spear Gold Dot 124 plus P. I have run Winchester Defender, I think it's like 147 grain. And then I've run Supervel 115 plus P solid copper, which is my defensive carry load of choice for this particular setup. During my time, the 2,500-ish rounds that I put through this setup, I think it's definitely safe to say that I noticed the difference. Right out of the gate, noticed that it shot a decent amount softer than the standard P365 or P365X. I would say it's comparable to shooting a Glock 17. So if you have a Glock 17 and you shoot that, you know what that feels like. The recoil impulse and snappiness, very much on par with that. I actually think that this setup shoots softer than a Glock 19. My friend has a Glock 19. I used to have one, I don't anymore. And we shot back to back with the Glock 17, the Glock 19, and then this gun. And we both agreed that the 365X with the comp and the Glock 17 felt very similar, and that the 19 actually felt a little bit more snappy than the 365X with the comp, which is pretty crazy considering this gun is like half the size and weight as a Glock 19. In terms of reliability of the compensator, we're going to dive into that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and say shooting two hands, no issue at all. Runs flawlessly. So something that I ran into a little bit, which actually wasn't the compensator. I've talked about this in a previous video. I was having some issues with the SIG 17 round standard magazines and then the standard 12 round mags with the mag guts on the bottom. I thought maybe the issue was the compensator before I diagnosed it was actually the magazines. So once I swapped back the 365X to the standard magazine springs and base plates, no issues whatsoever, shooting strong hand only and weak hand only for that matter. And I put a few hundred more rounds through it just to make sure. But there is absolutely no reliability issue shooting this with any ammo whatsoever. Even the ammos that they don't recommend you shoot it with, which is like Blazer 115, they say that it may not be powerful enough to cycle it. I never had any issues shooting strong hand only or weak hand only with the stock magazine springs in this gun. People are going to ask, what about retention shooting from compromised positions? Because other YouTubers have talked about their issues shooting this from compressed ready or retention thumb pectoral index position. I tested that extensively and could not run into any issues. I could not make this gun malfunction. When I went out to test it today, I was specifically testing retention shooting positions. Obviously, a thumb pectoral index is a very strong shooting position to shoot from. But when you kind of float the gun out a little bit, you get a not so strong grip on it. I didn't have any issues. As long as you're holding onto this gun with a decent amount of strength, you're gonna be fine and you're not gonna run into any reliability issues for my testing, sample size of 1. In terms of accuracy, I didn't notice any accuracy degradation with the compensator. I really think you're gonna be limited to the shooter and frankly, just the nature of the size of this platform. But I can keep them in a 5-inch circle freehand at 25 yards. And then my buddy and I actually went out and we were plinking some steel, some AC zone steel at 100 yards with these setups. And so I think, man, if you can hit a AC zone steel at 100 yards with a subcompact carry gun, it's pretty good. Nothing to knock the accuracy with this barrel and comp setup. In terms of coming loose or anything like that, they include it with some thread locker, and if you use a vise and mount it properly, it's not going anywhere. It hasn't loosened up one bit. The screws haven't backed out. The compensator hasn't moved whatsoever, so nothing to worry about there. Another thing to think about is the holster compatibility. This has to run in a 365XL linked holster. This is the Tenacor Caretoon. I'm gonna be doing a review on this holster in the near future, but this is a 365XL length holster, and you can see it fits just fine. It retains the gun extremely well, no issues, but you're not gonna be able to use your standard P365 holster once you throw the compensator on it. Now that we've covered all the testing, technical specifications, holster modifications, all the things, is it worth it, right? $360 is a lot of money. It comes with the barrel and the compensator combo, like I said, but it's not cheap. You can buy a lot of ammo. You can almost buy a new gun with $360. So is it worth it? That's gonna be personal preference, but I'm gonna give you a few things to think through to decide if it's worth it for yourself. Number one, do you carry the same gun all the time? If you are a P365X XL guy, you love those guns, you carry them every day, I say go for it. If you're already carrying this platform every day, why would you not put something on it that's gonna make you that much more faster and accurate shooting tight groups at speed than you were before? Now, if you're the kind of person, you have a bunch of different guns, you carry a bunch of different platforms, it may not be worth it for you because I see this as an investment. This setup is an expensive setup, right? With everything that I have on it, but it's really the only gun I carry because it covers all the bases for me. It shoots like a full size. It carries like a subcompact. You add a little bit of weight, a little bit of length, and you make it shoot like a gun that is way bigger than it is. Holds 13 rounds, which is perfectly adequate for me in my eyes for a concealed carry practitioner, normal person, normal citizen living in the United States of America. So I think it's a big win. I think it's worth every penny. I paid for it with my own money, and I would buy it again. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope it was informative. If you have any questions, as always, there's a few options. You can always drop it in the comment section and we can get a conversation going. You can shoot me email. I've got that in the link below. I always do. I talk a little bit about my faith at the end of every video because it's like the underpinning of everything that I do. And so I want to integrate that into all areas of my life if possible. And I had a really interesting conversation with one of my friends this week. He's newer to the faith, and we were talking about how, I'm not going to go into details of my personal life, but I've been very busy and that's why I haven't really been putting out videos as much as I normally do. And he's been like, man, just with the busyness of life and all the things that we have to do, I feel like I've just been slacking, not getting in the word. And that's something that happens to us in seasons, right? But as Christians, it's super important that we're getting that daily bread because God gave us the Bible so that we can feed it and that we can use it in our daily lives. But if you're not reading it, you're not going to be able to get the benefit and you're not going to be able to reflect that light as well as you could, in my opinion. So one thing that I told him, I was like, hey, just a little bit of discipline. Get up 10 minutes earlier. I leave my Bible actually in my truck on the way to work, so I have no excuses. If I wake up on time, I get there, I have 5 to 10 minutes where I have no distractions. It's totally quiet at 5:45 a.m. in the morning. I can get in and I can prep my mind for the day that's about to come because you never know what's going to be thrown at you during the day if you're planning on doing it. When you get home or at your lunch break, life is crazy and it's just, you can't set yourself up for failure like that. So if you've been trying to get in the Word, you've been trying to be consistent about it, but you're not quite getting up to par, just give that a shot. I don't know what your life looks like, but before you go into work, maybe leave 10 minutes early, leave your Bible in your truck, give it a little bit of read. As always, I'll send out chronological Bibles for free if you want them. Just shoot me an email. It's the Bible that I've been using for 5 or 6 years now. Absolutely love it. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching the video. Get out there, train hard, stay safe.